Wagwan, wagwan, wagwan. It's your humble host, Big Truck. Hey, yo, grab your shoulder pads and your helmet. Listen to them.
Well, he's here. You get to see what they've been whispering about in corners. Come on!
Got out of prison. Not the way he wanted to get out of prison, and only temporarily. But he is in a hospital right now as we speak, getting treated for stabbing injuries that he suffered this morning at the California State Prison, where he is doing time for the Megan Thee Stallion shooting. What we're told is that he was outside of his cell. We're not sure if it was the yard or if it was still within the prison walls, but was stabbed multiple times and had to be rushed to a hospital by ambulance. There are trying to get information about what the status of what his condition is right now.
That's what you have to decide your fate. 9 seconds.
Let me just say this. What was he doing in general population? He should have been PC'd, in my opinion. He should have been in protective custody. As a former CO,
And
it sounds at the very least serious.
murky. It's definitely serious.
Yeah, so obviously we've been reaching out to everyone involved. We had one source said that it was non-life-threatening injuries, but then we have other people that are telling us that, this was a very serious stabbing. I mean, as any stabbing is, and that he, was rushed to the hospital. So we're pushing and trying to get a more clear-cut update. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely crazy because I believe just a week ago, there was a photo of him that surfaced.
Less than that.
Where
he posted this.
Yeah, he was smiling or, looking good. He looks super
Looking
buff
pretty fit, yeah.
and looks good. And then just to think that, less than a week later, he would be transferred to the hospital is obviously a very serious situation.
What happens in prison? I mean, this is not the first one, but when you're high profile, and we've seen it with others, you're a target.
That's what you have to decide your fate. 9 seconds.
former CEO working in a federal prison. When you have high power, high profile individuals that come in, that's automatic PC. That's automatic protective custody. Because number one, you're a target. And number two, you got haters. And three, you have individuals in there that try to make a name for themselves. So there's a way you have to move. And I would come down on a warden. I would have asked the warden, how come you didn't put him in protective custody?
I didn't know if that was a thing because there was a thing about Tory Lanez possibly being deported.
I
what
was
she was
wondering. I did not
referring to
know that. Is that right?
That because he's a Canadian citizen. And
Okay.
There are people saying he should be deported once he gets out.
Got it.
That's what you have to decide your fate. 9 seconds.
Told y'all Tory Lanez came out speaking about a lot of shit. He said a lot of stuff he was not supposed to just say. And he said he was going to expose Atlantic. He came out talking about Roc Nation.
There you have it. There you have it. Coming out exposing, there were some things that surfaced that he did say that he was going to expose and share from his perspective. The whole thing with the Meg Thee Stallion and all of that, that was a setup to get him out the way, to move him out the way. Even though she went on Dale King and lied her ass off, okay, I guarantee you, if Tory Lanez was out, she would still let him smash. Stop it. But again, and you look at Meg's career, it's slowly starting to take a dive because now individuals are seeing how she moves. Okay? You can't sit up there and do wrong and think nothing ain't gonna come back on you. You will reap what you sow.
Prayers up for Tory, even if this didn't happen, whatever. I just feel so bad. I told y'all Tory Lanez came out speaking about a lot of shit.
That's what you have to decide your fate. 9 seconds.
I'm on this little walk and I was thinking, right? Had this Tory Lanez stuff that happened today. And this is coming from a former CEO. This is a perspective from a former CEO. I'll give you all.
So now you got 2 former CEOs that's going to give you your perspective. He's going to give you his perspective, and I've been giving you my perspective.
A scenario. Imagine you quit your job as a CEO at the jail that Tory Lanez got stabbed 14 times and it was on your shift. Now pay attention to that word, your shift. All right, cool. You leaving the job, want to get a new start at another job. They pull your resume, you had an interview, then they look at your resume, look at the jail you came from, then they say, hey, isn't that prison in Tory Lanez, that high caliber prisoner you all had got stabbed 14 times? And you got to answer, yeah. And then it's like, you were there when? Huh, you were working there when that happened. Then you got to be like, yeah. Then you got to answer and say, well, did you know anything? Did you hear anything about it? Did it happen on your shift? Then you got to be like, yeah. So for every CEO that was on that particular shift, that now follows you everywhere you go for the rest of your life. Every job you.
Not necessarily. Here's the reason why I say not necessarily. What area was you working in? For example, I did intake. So what happens in intake is in intake. It has nothing to do, I have nothing to do with what goes on in the pods because that's not my area. I have specific areas. Okay? Then you have rec officers. Did it happen on a rec yard? Any officers that are out there on a rec yard, that will affect them. If it happened in a pod, officers that were assigned to that pod area, it will affect them.
That's what you have to decide your fate. 9 seconds.
Apply for. And if you're a superior over that shift, that now also follows you because you were over the shift that had a high caliber person like Tory Lanez stabbed 14 times. So what I'm saying that is, not a lot of precincts, police precincts, hospitals want that label. So why would they allow something like that to transpire? Then you got to go to Tory Lanez. Now, I don't know if he's gang related or anything or has any gang ties, but this is a 5'3" guy, 5'4" guy in a prison full of bodybuilders, basically. Thugged out bodybuilders. What possible threat can make somebody want to stab this man? Because that ain't no fight. 14 times is, I'm finna take this motherfucker off the earth. Then you go to that little scene from Boondocks and what did the nigga do to make this nigga this mad? But then you go to the case of what happened, little Tory Lanez and Meg Thee Stallion thing. And when you start thinking about that, like, it's starting to sound more and more like a hit.
It was a hit. You got to understand, let's look at it. Man got an album coming out. Man been talking. It wouldn't surprise me if Jay-Z was behind it and his peoples was behind it. Now we connecting the dots, just like Byron Scott, former LA Laker. Now he's being targeted. Bad enough they trying to extort and target Shannon Sharp, Smokey Robinson, now Byron Scott. Really? Certain people being targeted for extortion. Number one. Number two, when you know what you know, and especially you exposing, Tory Lanez have an album coming out. That album gonna peak. That album gonna sell. Man coming home. That's a problem for Meg Thee Stallion. Because he gonna tell it. That man gonna tell what really happened.
you have to decide your fate. 9 seconds.
You can kind of connect the dots and see they was trying their best to delete that man. We can't let him come home. Trust. Watch what I tell you.
But why would they want to murder that man? Then you go back to 2020, when that man get on Instagram talking about, I broke the code. And he, you know what I'm saying, made his album NFTs or whatever he did. And not only was he making a lot of money doing it, but his fans made money doing it. Now, we all know what type of ties the record labels has to the prison system. But I mean, for the ones that want to look with blinders on, that ain't really gonna mean much. But for the ones it does mean something about, imagine a whole bunch of artists turn around and they say, you know what, F these labels, I'm finna do it myself, and I'm finna release all this music and let my fans buy it the same way they bought Tory Lanez stuff. Imagine all these artists start currently doing it, right?
And I have to agree with the brother with that. Tory Lanez gave you the blueprint, like Prince and Michael Jackson gave you the blueprint.
That's what you have to decide your fate. 9 seconds.
Imagine what's going to happen with podcasts for people to break the bank with their podcast show. Watch what I tell you.
And that goes away from the agenda of all these billions of dollars the private prison are making off making rappers talk about a whole bunch of BS that makes people crash out. So again, this is coming from a former CEO's perspective. Like I was saying, you do not want to be labeled as being a part of the shift where a high caliber anybody, athlete, actress, singer, rapper, anybody was stabbed 14 times on your shift, because it follows you everywhere. So just think about that when we look deep into this whole little case with him and Meg Thee Stallion and holding this little beef with Roc Nation and how his lawyer flip-flopped and he just basically said too much on the album. And then, of course, a couple months later, the album dies down. Now he in the hospital with 14 stab wounds on him. Again, we have never seen a high caliber anybody go inside of a prison system and be touched like this.
Not only that, but we got to look into things instead of looking at things. And I'm glad the brother was able to break things down from a certain perspective. I was able to break things down from a certain perspective as well. So in retrospect, this was a hit. This was intentional. Okay? This was a hit. Individuals get paid to do certain things. Paraphrasing. So we know this was nothing random.
That's what you have to decide your fate. 9 seconds.
When you telling the game, okay, you got to be careful of what you say and how you say what you say. Sometimes it's best to just keep your circle small and let that information just float around your small circle. Sometimes it's not meant for individuals to go on social media and lay out the blueprint. Go live your best life. The best version of yourself be seen by many. Take that with you. One love. Shalom.